Welcome back to the Crypto is Key conversation. I just want to let you guys know in advance, man, I'm going to try to get through this video as fast as possible, man. I'm doing real bad right now. Had like a massive migraine today, like even like looking at like my phone and the computer screen just got my eyes throbbing. But I wanted to cover this and kind of put out some content really quick on what JV kind of was surfacing on some tweets that he saw from Crypto Geek here. It says, breaking Ripple Labs to buy back 10 billion XRP from its circulating supply, right? So obviously we haven't heard this from Ripple itself, but he goes, not a good sign. And then we come down here and there's just a couple tweets that I want to cover. It's from Michael. He says, Ripple buys back every month and has done so for years to offset LOC sell pressure. Forget about that. Still isn't a good sign, JV says. Then Jacob says, I don't see how this is anything but bullish. JV says nothing's bullish about having to buy your asset to keep the price from tumbling and increasing your supply again when the whole notion was to distribute majority of the supply to the market. So he's bringing up the point of like, okay, well, if they buy 10 billion of them, is that going to put them back over that 50% threshold, which, you know, affects the centralization, not including, you know, are they the ones really supporting the price is what he's saying here. Continuing down here is another one. Cappy says, why wouldn't it be good? It's like Ripple buying back Apple shares. It's like Apple buying back Apple shares. And he says, no, it's not. Apple efforts and business model aren't causing their stock to crash, therefore forcing them to buy it up off the markets to stabilize the price. And XRP Baron says, nothing stronger than where'd it go? Yeah, XRP Baron says, nothing stronger than a company that believes its product. JV says, this has nothing to do with a forward-looking investment purchase. And then this is where things get interesting because XRP awaiting judgment says, could be a big buy before burn the escrow. JV says. And he says, makes sense 100. So it kind of, I like how people kind of just, you know, they throw out their speculation out there and just give different ideas and different viewpoints. I mean, this is an interesting take right here. Like, what if they are, you know, who knows? I'm just saying, like, what if they do? You know, they have planned in some sort of settlement or agreement that they would burn the escrow or, you know, distribute it out to, you know, the central banks around the world. Who knows, right? But what if this is a thing? Could be a big buy before they burn the escrow. Interesting take. I want to know what you guys think. Mr. Huber has something here though. He says Ripple buys back 10 billion XRP question mark. Disagree. Don't see why that should be a bad sign at these prices. The only thing I'm really critical of is why announce it publicly. Says that makes me critical. So then coming over here, John Deaton says, I don't believe Ripple is buying back 10 billion XRP until I hear it from Ripple. I mean, I agree with that notion. I don't mind the speculation and the conversations, but yeah, until we see it, yeah. JV also has some more stuff over here because there's been conversations of, you know, what is the downside to the him and emails and, you know, how has the release of Ripple's side of documentation have affected them. And John Deaton, when he had his panel of legal minds talking about going over the him and emails, they even covered some of the, you know, the stuff that in a sense can go against Ripple's case. But JV puts up a couple more things here. He goes, nobody has mentioned this, but Ripple's released XRP emails are on the same field as the Hemin emails, which gives Ripple the only edge in the SEC internal confusion of how to regulate crypto. But Ripple's intent surrounding XRP could hurt them worse. So remember that word intent, okay? So he feels, well, he's saying, but Ripple's intent surrounding XRP could hurt them worse. And he has like a screenshot here. And continuing on here, it goes, Ripple doesn't know what they want to label XRP as security, a currency, an investment, and medium of exchange. Who knows? They just know their business model is predicated on people buying it. So he has also another screenshot here. You can pause it and kind of read through it, but I just want to quickly cover these. It says, don't fool yourself and let anyone fool you into thinking that Ripple wasn't marketing XRP to speculators / retail. So Jungle Eag hit something on the head here when it comes to intent. He goes, does my intent matter if I sell you stock? What about gold bars? I think it all comes down to how the judge classifies the sale of crypto assets by the issuer. Is this a security transaction or not? And quite honestly, like I'm more along this line of how Jungle Inc.'s kind of viewing this. Like, okay, intent or not, right? Obviously, when it comes to previous sales of the digital asset XRP, obviously that they may be classified as a security, but the overwhelming concept is this a security transaction or not? Is XRP we know from, you know, our understanding of the knowledge and the information out there that the digital asset itself isn't a security, right? So none of the intent, none of that really in a sense matters when it comes down to what the judge classifies as sale of crypto assets by the user. Or, I mean, I like how JV kind of looks at like different angles and is not just going with, oh, ETH gained him in and all that stuff, right? He kind of just looks at it from different viewpoints. And I'm not sure if he completely believes in, everything that he puts out there. I wonder if he just, puts it out there just to start a conversation and get people thinking. But I agree with what Jungle Inc. saying here, and I know he had a video and he had talked a little bit further about it, but quite honestly, when it comes to this whole Ripple buying 10 billion and what about these, these documents that show all these different things, like quite honestly, I'm just kind of like, all right, this is over my head. I'm not going to overthink it. Obviously, we're waiting for summary judgment from Judge Elisa Torres. Man, that's all that really matters when it comes to this. So intent or not, I mean, it is what it is. So obviously, I'm covering John Deaton's tweet here because JV's talking about why isn't anyone talking about certain things, right? So John Deaton responds and says, if you watch the show I did, the last segment was on the SEC's evidence against Ripple. I discussed internal Ripple emails and discussed the offer to pay $5 million or $1 million to two exchanges to list XRP. I discussed rebates and other incentives like guaranteed minimum trading volumes, pragmatic sales, and market makers, etc. Did I give the Ripple internal emails the same level of scrutiny as the Hyman emails? No, for the obvious reason that there weren't 7 court orders and 2 years of buildup for them. But I certainly discussed potential bad news for Ripple. I also said the SEC may have snatched defeat from the jaws of victory by going with an all or nothing theory, i.e. every sell, no matter the seller or circumstance surrounding the sell, equals a security. By saying that, I think signals there is evidence out there. I mean, I really wanted to take this video and explore and just kind of start a conversation of like, hey, what are the other possibilities, right? Obviously, there's two sides, or as I say, there's multiple sides to a story, right? Obviously, Ripple's going to have, their no-nos and their, in a sense, you can say, quote-unquote, bad things that don't look so good towards them. But when it really comes down to it, is it really all going to matter when it comes to this litigation? What is the bigger issue here? I think it's good to address this stuff, but we're just waiting for summary judgment to come through. We just want to know, the facts of litigation, going forward, because it's going to affect not only Ripple and XRP, but the entire industry as well. Obviously, we know there's lawsuits going on with. Oh, did I switch these? Yeah, obviously there's lawsuits going on with Coinbase and Binance and just a lot of other regulation by enforcement by SEC Chairman Gary Gensler. But yeah, it's just a waiting game. I want to cover these two things here. Let me go ahead. Let me pause this real quick. So this is interesting. So WheezyX, I put this up. It says the clip confirms what Costello was saying on BlackBerry's XRP Trumors. Jay Clayton is not happy with Gary Gensler. Look at their reaction when Gary Cohn mentions Gary, right? Says, I believe the plan was for Gary to continue the Bitcoin and Ethereum monopoly plan employed by Clayton and Hyman. I think the XRP army dropped an atomic bomb on that plan. Hashtag ETHGate. And I completely agree with this. Let's listen into this.
We're in a clearly transition place in the SEC from where you were to where Gary Gensler is. There's no, I think we'll get no dispute in this room that there's a difference between the two of you, the way you handle the SEC. Gary's clearly out there pushing sort of the limits of the SEC. How do you look at that today, and where are the limits of sort of power of the SEC? And then we're going to bring the real expert in to talk about it from a constitutional standpoint.
Okay. Well, look, I would say that 90% of what the SEC does, and Dahlia will confirm this, is daily blocking and tackling, and the SEC does that well. What we're really talking about here is rulemaking and the extent of regulation. And I'm on record. I think that the SEC's proposal around climate disclosure goes well beyond the bounds of the SEC's both authority and expertise.
And I wanted to cover, kind of an extension a little bit on this. And it's something that was interesting that WheezyX had brought up. He goes, ain't it funny that Jay Clayton can speak on Coinbase and Binance lawsuits, but when asked about the Ripple case, he resorts to, I can't comment on ongoing litigation, right? Obviously, these are ongoing litigation. Let's take a quick listen into this.
There are a lot of other people who are very experienced in securities laws who think that the chair's view is too broad.
Yeah.
But what we have here are two different lawsuits I would say the Coinbase situation is much more about what is a security and what is not, as opposed to the Binance situation, which is really about charges of fraud,
Commingling of funds,
and efforts to evade.
People were speculating in the chat or the community here saying Buddy has aged, man. Like, since we'll say what 2018. Yeah, he's aged a lot, been under a lot of stress, busy man, I'm assuming. But yeah, it's interesting though. Obviously, he has closer ties or connections, if you will, to Ripple litigation. Obviously, dropping the lawsuit and walking out the door. So maybe that's a reason. But I thought it was pretty interesting. Quickly coming over here, checking out CoinGecko. We're currently sitting at a $1.23 trillion market cap. Bitcoin sitting at 30,800. Ethereum sitting at just under 1,900. And XRP is sitting at just under 49 cents. Still a waiting game, people. We're sitting at a 64 on Bitcoin Fear and Greed Index. But that's what I have for you, man. I'm glad I made this one slightly quick. Make sure you come to the Crypto is Key Conversation YouTube channel. Subscribe. Follow us on Twitter at Crypto is Key 1. Really appreciate your support out there. With all that being said, stay strong out there and be safe.